What's good? What's good? Welcome, 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 welcome. We're going to go on and get started right on time at 7 o'clock CST. Welcome to TED Talk Space. We're going to talk today about a holistic approach to bass playing and learning the electric bass. So I want to thank you for being here. And let's just get into it. A holistic path to freedom on the bass guitar, in my opinion, combines technical skills, musical understanding, personal creativity, and ensures that the bass player not only learns how to play, but also feels empowered to create and enjoy and grow, right? It's about addressing the entire player, mindset, technique, rhythm, expression, rather than focusing on isolated skills and rigid methods. Now, I want you to stick around because we're going to go deeper into that idea. And I'm going to show you what this looks like a little bit more closely. So again, stick and stay. Engage down in the comments below. I'd love to get your feedback and hear your thoughts as well. So who am I? If we have not met yet, my name is Ted and I talk bass. I've been a bass player for several years. Started playing bass back in the early to mid 80s. And I've been a professional musician or semi-professional musician for the better part of 30 years. I spent 8 years in the bass chair with funk music legend Zigaboo Modeliste. I toured for a short time with Jody Watley of Shalimar. I've played countless gigs, and I was also a school music teacher as well. But more importantly, I was once where many of you are: frustrated, stuck, overwhelmed, getting a whole lot of advice from a bunch of different places. But through some trial and error, I have found what I think is a better way. Like I said, a more holistic approach that has made bass playing simple and more enjoyable. I have also, I've taught, helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people via my YouTube channel and in private lessons, help them unlock their groove. And my goal is to help as many people as possible play the music that they love with confidence. And so in this live stream, I'm going to show you some ways to stop feeling stuck and finally enjoy your bass playing journey. So again, go on and engage with me down in the chat. Hey, Joe. Jody is fun. So tell me, does this sound like you? Again, leave your comments down below. I would love to hear them. Do you feel overwhelmed by tab and so much information coming at us from so many different sides on the internet? Are you struggling to play along with your favorite songs? Are you just feeling stuck and unsure about your progress? So if that's you, let me know in the comments what some of your frustrations are or have been. Now, I think to address this, we need to look at some critical questions, and they all revolve around your why, right? Like, what inspires you to play? What song, what sound, what genre? Something drew you to the electric bass guitar as your primary instrument, right? This is a question that I ask a lot in private lessons. It's very, very important because it guides so much of what we're doing. The next question is, what's your ultimate goal? Or what's even your goal for the next 6 months? Some people might want to play, I don't know, Smoke on the Water. That's just the first thing that comes to mind, right? If that's your goal, cool. But you have to define what that goal is. Also, what role will the bass guitar play in your life? Now, for me, I always knew that I wanted to be a professional musician. So a lot of the things that I did on my journey revolved around that and going towards that goal. So let me give you a little bit of story time here. Now, this is me. I'm 54 years old. I just turned 54 last week. And by most people's standards, I'm pretty fit for my age. My goal for, staying in the gym, I try to walk at least 6 miles a day, stuff like that. I try to eat healthy. It's just because I want to be mobile. I want to stay mobile as long as possible. And if I should have to get into fisticuffs with somebody half my age, I don't want to get annihilated right out of the gate. But now let's look at this dude. This dude's got, 2% body fat. He's a fitness model. I'm not going to train like he does. I'm not going to eat like he does. I'm just not, those things are not applicable to my lifestyle. Okay. And so, a lot of times we are trying to practice things and learn things that don't really align with what we want to do. Now, again, stick around because we're gonna dive into that a little bit deeper. We're gonna really unpack that in just a bit. So, orange juice. I haven't thrown hands in a long time, and I don't plan on. But if I had to, I don't want to get annihilated right out of the gate. But here's the thing: we all learn how to speak. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what our country of origin is. It doesn't matter what our first language is. We all learned how to speak by observing and imitating. There's all manner of things that we've learned by observation and imitation. I mean, if your parents, if your mom was anything like mine, at some point she might have uttered the words monkey see, monkey do, right? Because I know I was out there trying to getting into everything. But the whole point is we learn by observation, right? So, like, what can we learn by listening and watching? Ask yourself, can you determine what the tempo is? Are there a lot of notes or movement in whatever groove you're trying to learn? Can you hear those smaller chunks inside a groove? What's the interaction between the bass and the drums? Can you hear the chord changes? Can you identify different parts of a song, like the verse and the chorus, etc., right? We've all been here. Again, it doesn't matter what our country of origin is, what our backgrounds are. We were all little kids at one time, and we saw people around us. They were walking and running and doing all this stuff, and we're like, well, I want to do that too, right? And so what do? If you've got a child in your life, right, or somebody with a small child in your life, maybe some of you are parents, you watch that child stand up, fall. They're practicing, right? But what are they doing first? They are observing, and they're picking up movements and language. Speaking of language, we've all been here. We've all listened to the people around us. We pick up. Who knows a toddler that waits to go to school before they start having full-on conversations? None of us do, right? I remember, I didn't know if I should tell this story or not, but I remember the first time that I learned how to do the bird, right? Flip the bird. I was in kindergarten, and there was a kid in the class, and, so I go home and I say, "Ma, what's this mean?" Mom smacked me across the face, and she was like, I get it. Context is key. Don't do that to your mother, right? You may have a similar story, but the whole point is that we pick up phrases and words, and then we have our own ideas, and we learn how to express those ideas through things that we've been picking up. Then we go to school, right? I'll take our name, for example. We here in the U.S., like we're like 6 years old before we go to school, right? and we've all had to struggle. We're learning how to write the alphabet, and we're, holding the pencil like a caveman. You remember the big fat pencils? We're holding on to those things, and we're trying to scribble out our names. And then one day everything clicks, and you're like, oh no, that's what I've been saying this whole time. That's what I've been doing this whole time, right? So my whole point is that we are observing, right? We're observing, we're copying, we're mimicking. And while I'm on this is one of my favorite comments that I've got on the channel lately. Fleece, what's up? It's good to have you here as usual. I don't like tab. Okay, I've had people asking me about tab recently, but I don't like tab. And this is one of my favorite comments. This reminds me of that dude in the neighborhood who could play anything. I can't. Showing newbie me a bass line. If you're patient, this is better than tab because you're remembering positioning and actual sounds, not recalling numbers, right? And so that has been my goal ever since I had a YouTube, ever since I started a YouTube channel, was that I want you to feel the same way that I felt when I was going to see my buddy Jules Ford, may rest in peace. Jules Ford was a little bit older than me, but he was a kid in the neighborhood. He played guitar, he played bass, he played keys, and we would sit down and he would just kind of show me things, and then I would run home and do my best to remember what I had seen and learned from him. And so I started picking those things up. Now, here's the least of it. This is not everything. This is the least of the things. You need some fretboard knowledge. Well, how much fretboard knowledge do you need? This is going to sound kind of crazy. You need as much as you need to play whatever the thing is you're trying to play, right? Let's say that your goal, going back to that why, and we're going to unpack that a little bit more in a second, but let's say your goal was to play Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. That's one of, it's like, it's a really simple but very groovy song, very powerful bass part in that song, right? Well, you would need enough fretboard knowledge to know, you would need to know the first 3 frets of the E string at the very least, right? You need some ear training. And by ear training, I don't mean that you need perfect pitch or anything like that. You need a basic understanding of how notes work in relationship to each other, right? That does come over time. Let's talk about rhythm. You need a basic understanding of rhythm. How much understanding do you need of rhythm? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's use Dreams as an example again. You need boom, 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 right? You need that much. Basic theory knowledge. Most of the songs that we listen to here in the West are going to use basic diatonic harmony. Most of the songs that you're listening to, if you really think about it, that are drawing you to the electric bass guitar as an instrument are made up of simple diatonic chords. Stephen Bird, welcome. Good to see you. You also need a good practical practice routine, right? I'm going to unpack that a little. You need something that's going to fit into your life, right? We hear these stories about Bird and, other people practicing for 8-12 hours a day. I know the people that watch my channel, the age range of, nobody got time for that, right? Most of you have jobs, you have kids, you have other responsibilities. You don't have 8 hours to practice. And I'm also a firm believer that you don't necessarily get practice better with hours and hours of practice. You get better with focused minutes of practice consistently, right? It's the same as working out. Push-ups is one of my favorite things. I'll just say this real quick. And when I was a middle school teacher, one of my favorite things to do was embarrass middle school boys when it comes to push-ups, right? And but I do push-ups quite a bit, right? Hey Jade, what's going on? And so, but that's consistent. It would be unwise to have an expectation of going to the gym one day out of the month and expect to be able to do anything like that, right? So the next thing you need is patience. You need patience. I remember telling a student of mine that it's a pretty bold notion or bold stance to take that you would want to be as good in a few weeks as someone who's been doing something consistently over time. So patience is key. Patience is absolutely key. Everything is going to go back to your why. So let's unpack that just a little bit more. As I said, we would. All right. So I want you to go back, and if you would, if you feel free to type in the chat, what is your why? Why do you want to play this instrument? Right? If you can't answer that question, you're going to go on this like random journey. And I don't say that to throw shade at anyone, any other creator on the internet, right? There's some fantastic creators out there throwing out some real dope information. But if you don't know what your why is, you're just going to be out there in the wind, right? So ask yourself, what or who inspired you to pick up the bass? What do you want to achieve, right? You want to play in a band? You want to just play with your friends? You want to play music at home? Do you just want to like de-stress after work? Get a break from the partner, the spouse, the kids, right? For some people, you might want to just, put on your headphones and play along with a record, right? How does the bass play into your fit? How does the bass fit into your life? I swear I can read. Again, is it a creative outlet? Is it stress relief? Is it just a hobby? Or is there something more that you want to do? Having a clear sense of purpose is going to keep you motivated. It's going to keep you focused and excited about your journey. You need some basic technique, as we talked about before. How much technique do you need? As much as you need. That sounds like real crazy, doesn't it? But the very least of it, you need to be able to hold the bass in a way that prevents strain, right? It's gonna improve your control, fretting hand, plucking hand. You want to be able to play clean, consistent, deliberate notes, right? Once you're able to get this thing together, you're going to feel physically comfortable and confident with the instrument. The instrument should never feel like you're fighting it. When I was in college, I played upright bass. And the thing about upright is a little bit different from electric bass. Well, it's a lot different in a lot of ways, believe it or not. It's not just an inverted electric bass, but it's a full body instrument, right? You got to play that thing from your feet up, right? So posture was very important. It's the same thing here. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of focus, and again, some patience. Fretboard understanding. Right now, I'm a big believer in shapes. What shapes do you need? At the base level, no pun intended, major scales, minor scales, pentatonics, which are going to be related, right? Your triads, your basic triad shapes. Of course, octaves. Octaves are at the heart of so many bass lines, as are roots, obviously, and fifths, right? So aside from that, you need to understand how chord progressions work. In fourths is an example. A lot of Western music is going to flow in fourths, right? I believe, some people may disagree, but I believe that putting more focus on patterns instead of individual notes makes navigating the bass a lot more intuitive. Okay? Once you can do this, you can navigate the fretboard with ease. It'll make it easier to learn songs and improvise. Okay? Let's talk about rhythm. Get friendly with the basics. The basics, right? Whole notes, half notes. Man, let me tell you, nothing exposes a musician. Nothing exposes a musician like whole notes and half notes, right? I was listening to the song Tell It Like It Is just recently, really listening to this, the Aaron Neville tune. And Walter Payton is playing bass on this. And when I was a kid, I took a few lessons with Walter Payton. Wasn't a great student. But anyway, just space, right? Understanding space. So quarter notes, eighth notes, eighth note triplets, 16th notes, and their corresponding rests, right? Those things are at the heart of a lot of the music that we love and listen to. And I don't care if it's pop or rock or funk or soul, right? Those things are all in there. So we need to develop our timing. We do this through subdivision exercises, rhythmic variations. There's all sorts of ways to do that, right? If we focus on simple grooves that serve the music, that helps us play in the pocket, right? Here's the big one. This is huge for me. And anyone who knows me knows this is sort of, if you've been here from the beginning of the live stream, this, I swear by this. Play real music. Learn real music. Yes, the scales are important. Yes, the theory is important. But few things are going to really get you inside of how the instrument works like playing real music, especially the bass guitar, because it is such a supportive instrument. And unless you're doing, a solo bass thing, or a more advanced like Victor Wooten type thing or a Jocko type thing, you need context for this instrument, right? So choose tracks that you love, that you at least like, that match your skill level. Now, when I say match your skill level, I'm not trying to be insulting or anything like that, but if you're Smoke on the Water or Dreams by Fleetwood Mac or something, then it may be frustrating to go from zero to Marcus Miller like that, right? I'm not saying that you can't, but don't neglect having those songs that you can get those quick wins out of, okay? I promise you, when you can start, one of the first songs that I ever learned, that I ever played on the electric bass, some of you guys know this song, is it Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath? It's Iron Man. Dun, 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 da, 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 da. E string. I was scared to venture off the E string, right? But there was this kid in my school named Keith. I'll never forget his name. He brought a guitar to school and he showed me I'm watching and he shows me this and I play this, right? And then I picked up something else, there was Controversy by Prince, no technique, none of, I didn't know anything about that. And I hope she doesn't mind, but a good friend of mine has a son who's a real kick in the pants, and he's autistic, right? And he just started playing saxophone, and he's got such an ear. Music teacher says, hey, this kid needs to be in music lessons, right? He's got a great ear. He's getting a great sound. His technique is horrible, but, I don't think he said that. But that's not the point. The point is that we can get to that. We can get to that stuff, right? Again, to the example of us being kids, we don't wait until we have the alphabet down. We don't wait until we have techniques down before we start having conversations. That, friends, is my point there. The next thing is improvise. What are we talking about? Improvising. We're talking about making things up, right? You know, another quick story, you know, my cousin's husband, right around the time when I first started playing bass, my cousin's husband had one of those SG style basses, and I used to borrow it, steal it from under his bed and take it to school and things like that. And when he caught wind of that, you know, we're sitting on the porch and he tells me, just play what you feel. I had no idea. I had horrible technique. I didn't really know, but I just started moving my hands around the instrument. And sometimes that's really just what you have to do, right? You just have to do that. Sometimes you have to you got to not be afraid to sound bad, right? Because sometimes it sound bad. I've been playing bass for 30 years, and sometimes I sound bad. I just sound bad. And so this will help you feel more confident. I promise you. I promise you that. Again, now this that's on the screen right now, this is an example. This is an example only. But you need to have a practical practice plan. Again, it's got to fit into your lifestyle and it's got to be consistent. Let me say that again. It's got to fit into your lifestyle and it's got to be consistent. Again, this is only an example. I think that 15, 30 minutes a day, right? Anybody can find 15 to 30 minutes a day. I promise. I promise you. Myself included, right? I hear it all. Oh, I'm busy. We're all busy. But if we look at how much time we do this, I'm as guilty as anyone else. I woke up at 4:30 this morning. The first thing ashamed of myself. Ashamed. But that's a story for another time. So develop yourself a practical practice plan. What do you practice? What do you practice? Can you guys hear me? I'm hearing that interesting. I've just done an entire live stream and I'm just hearing that that you guys have no audio. You should definitely have audio. I need somebody to type down in that chat if you are hearing me. Somebody must be hearing me because I see that people are responding to what I'm saying. So I'm going to assume that you've been hearing me this whole time. Awesome. The next thing we need to do is we need to find opportunities to play with other people, to connect with other people, right? Music is all about communication. It really is. And so, you know, find as many opportunities as you possibly can. If you can't, again, go back to those real songs. Go back to those real songs, okay? Also, there's lots of communities online and forums and things like that. These are going to help you stay motivated and grow faster when you share that journey with other people. Here's a big one, another big one. Again, celebrate those small wins. Recognize your progress. Learn those, don't be afraid of learning those simple songs and finding joy in those simple songs. Keep playing and learning because you love it. Do you love it? Go back to your why. Go back to the why. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is it? What is this? Where does this fit into my life, right? You're not only going to develop as a bass player, but as a full musician when you continually find joy in this craft. in this instrument. Okay? Excuse me. So here's the next step. I don't have anything to sell you right now, but I want to share with you something that I'm building a plane while I'm flying it. And so I want to invite you to sign up in the link below this video. Free 6-day groove reboot, some practical tips and exercises. All right. There is an option if you want to leave a love offering, as they say in the church. If you want to do that, you can do that. But I would love to see you over there. You have everything you need when you come over to the Groove School, when you come over to my YouTube channel. I want you to feel like we're sitting together and learning, and I'm showing you stuff, and you can just take it and put it to, I don't mean to shade anybody, but, could you imagine not being able to speak unless the words were written down in front of you, right? We should all, I had a joke there that I'm not going to tell, but, right, I do have notes in front of me, but I could still tell you these things even without the notes in front of me, right? And so, I want you to feel like it's us, it's me and you, and I'm going to show you some things, and you're going to put them into practice, right? Practice. I'm going to take a look at the comments here, see if anybody has any questions. Charles Ray Long, welcome. Baseline Project, good to see you. All right, looks like most people could hear me. All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good deal. Good deal, good deal. Lowrider is a great groove. Great groove. Yeah, love that. Yeah, so looks like everybody was, looked like most people were able to hear me. I'm not going to stay on as long tonight, but I appreciate you guys coming and checking out tonight's live stream. I hope to see you over there at the Groove School. Sign up for that free 6-day groove reboot. Got a slap bass course. Most of the modules are already done. They're over there right now. That is a premium course, but that is over there right now. You can you can go on and get involved over there. All right, y'all. I will catch you next time. I will see you over at the Groove School. Peace. 2 fingers.